Welcome back, everyone. So Chief Meteorologist Isaac Williams, along with Dr. Barrett Gutter, are joining us now in studio to talk more about the storm chase. So Isaac, kind of set the scene for the storm chase. You know, we talked with Belle and Owen,
Yes.
but they haven't went, and you've been before.
I've been just 2 years. We'll hear from the more seasoned person coming up. But I've been, this has been such a great experience from the teacher side of things as well as from the television side of things, because not too many meteorologists get to go on this, trip for 2 weeks, especially, stations typically don't let a chief meteorologist gallivant around the country for 2 weeks. So I'm super excited from that perspective to give the viewers kind of a inside peek on what, when I just say storm chasing, they're like, well, I think sometimes that has a negative connotation, but we do it safely since we have, students in mind and to keep them safe too.
And talking about the students, so Barrett, what do you want the students to get out of this whole experience?
Yeah, so I think one of the biggest things, and I had the privilege of going as a student, which made this process a lot better because I got to kind of take what I learned and learn it from the field and then apply it back to the classroom. And so what I really want them to get out of this is just understanding the processes that they've learned in the classroom and then applying them to the field, because there's so many things, especially in the Southeast, you can't see these beautifully sculpted thunderstorms. You don't see these low precip thunderstorms with these really pretty tornadoes because we have such a dense vegetation, and it's hard to see with the pine trees. So getting them out into the other parts of the country where visualization is so key. You can see an updraft rotating, stuff they learned about in class, and like actually looking at it on radar and being able to see it live is so important. And for me, seeing a tornado is obviously what you want.
Yes.
But for me, the students get more out of being about 5 miles away and seeing the whole structure of the atmosphere.
Wow.
Seeing everything at play, seeing how the upper levels are working, the low levels are working, stuff like that. So.
Well, it's interesting because, as a journalist, we're telling stories, but you guys really tell stories through the weather.
Sure.
So talk to me about the path we're going on. Like, explain how that goes, and we don't know when we're leaving yet, though.
We don't, sometime next week. And other than that, we just kind of let the storms guide our path.
Okay.
Now, obviously, once we get out there, we typically will let the students lead the briefing every morning and basically say, okay, where do you guys think we should go? And we have veto power, but our students are bright and smart. And so we have, basically where they say we're going, that's usually where in that general vicinity is where we go. I want to piggyback off something really fast from a television side of things too. Once they go on in their careers, I come back here, it's also important for us to use that hands-on experience, because if I can show the same sort of structure maybe on a camera here locally, I can sort of use the storm chasing experience that we get in the planes and sort of talk about the processes that we see out there back here as well. Barrett mentioned it's harder to see, but every now and then we get lucky enough to get a nice structure here where we can kind of explain kind of the behind the scenes, what's going on.
And so, Barrett, you said you went as a student. So what storm chase is this going to be for you?
So I started going in 2012, and then I've gone every year since except for the COVID year.
Oh my gosh.
So 12 or 13.
Like
yeah, it's been
a senior at this.
It's been a few.
My first time, he was like, hey, what are you doing in the spring a couple of years ago? And I said, oh, I'm just working. It's like, well, let's go storm chasing. I'm like, I've never been. You sure you want to put somebody who's never been storm chasing in charge of student safety? But we work well together. So.
And one thing that you always hope you have on an 8 to 10 or 14-day trip, you're hoping that you have about a third of the days where you're actually chasing, because the atmosphere's got to rebuild. It loses its moisture from day to day. Any fronts come through, you lose that moisture, and
run out of time.
Oh, thank you. But that's just an important thing, is when students